This is updated. This is from last week. We haven't updated.
I will put you on out, but here it is.
Where have I put it?
It's this big wrote on it. So, but I'll put you on.
Okay, great. Okay, we're live. Welcome. Welcome everybody back to Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs. And where is the agenda? Here we are. So this morning we are turning from all the things we've been focused on in the last couple of days to a bill that we walked through last week. And we are turning our attention to another consumer protection piece in our jurisdictional portfolio. H512, an act relating to the regulation of event ticketing, the event ticketing market. And this, we walked through it last week, I think with, who's the legislative counsel on this? Cameron, that's right. We walked through it last week with Cameron, and this morning we're actually going to turn to the bill itself and start speaking with the advocates and the non-advocates to look in a very full and thoughtful way at this challenge that we need to address. So we are going to welcome, thank you, Susan Evans McClure, our incredible director of the Vermont Arts Council, to the table to join us to tee it up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Now, do you know all of us here?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Can we share screen on the Zoom? Yes, if you just ask. Oh, so I have to send your request. Yeah, and then yeah. Okay, great. There you go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. For the record, I'm Susan Evans McClure, and the executive director of the Vermont Arts Council. We're the state's arts agency, so our role is to ensure that all Vermonters have access to the arts in their lives, education, communities. We work hard to put the arts at the center of economic development and community development. And just a big thank you for seeing the power of the creative sector over the years and for the great art on the wall.
We live with the creative economy. In this room, everything here is for sale. And in Senate government operations. Let me clarify. People in this room are for sale, but certainly the art is.
Directly to the artists as well. No one here will be getting a cut of anything. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today about a significant issue that has been impacting Vermont arts venues, Vermont sports venues, and Vermont consumers for several years. So as many of you, all of you know, because I've seen you at many of these events, live events are really the heartbeat of Vermont's creative economy and our local communities. But these predatory and deceptive ticket resale practices, from fake websites to scam tickets to inflated prices, are negatively affecting both Vermont consumers and Vermont's performing arts industry. Vermonters really deserve and are asking for common sense guardrails for ticket resale that will protect consumers, small businesses, and our economy. And that is exactly what H512 is working to do. So the Vermont Arts Council has been working with a coalition of Vermont arts and sports venues. You see all of the logos up here. I will say there are a few things in Vermont that I've seen that unite people as much as a desire to have access to a fair ticketing market. What we're seeing in this market is truly egregious. Consumers who search for tickets online are being brought to websites that look just like the website of the real venue, and then they buy tickets for grossly inflated prices. Online resellers are selling tickets that don't even exist yet, so those people don't have that ticket before they resell it, or they're selling tickets that are fake, and then consumers get to the venue only to find that their tickets aren't real and they've been scammed. You're going to hear today from the Flynn as well, but I could take up this whole time telling you issues of venues across the state, from someone paying $50 for a $15 Lake Monsters ticket to a grandmother paying a huge sum of money for a fake ticket to see her granddaughter at the Nutcracker at the Paramount, and then arriving and finding out that she didn't have a ticket and couldn't see her granddaughter in the Nutcracker. To tickets for a benefit for immigrants in Vermont being resold for extremely high prices. And what we see is that the majority of people reselling tickets on the secondary market are professional individuals. Industry estimates are around 80% of resale is done by professional individual resellers. Individuals buy a ticket from a venue, and then the individual sells that ticket on a secondary resale market. They're doing this because they know they can make money off of an unregulated market. And I think it's helpful to see what we're talking about in terms of real numbers and impact. So I want to share one specific example. This data was pulled by the National Independent Talent Organization. They pulled together some data about a 2023 concert. There was actually 2 concerts by the same artist named Billy Strings at the Champlain Valley Fairgrounds in Essex, the Champlain Valley Expo. And the numbers they pulled were that 493 tickets were resold to this event.
Out of how many tickets were
Well,
there?
that's a good question. I can find out the answer.
So that will mean something only in relation to
Well, the numbers later are also important in terms of the amount of money. So it was 493 tickets. The average face value of that ticket was $55. The average resale price was $188. And that means that Vermont's fans paid an extra over $65,000 in resale costs than they would have. This money is not going to Vermont venues. It's not going to Vermont artists. It's going to predatory resellers and predatory resale platforms. And
Vermonters do not have an extra 65,000.
No, they do not. No, they do not.
That's it.
And this is actually a low-balling number. The NIDO only had access to about 60% of state data from StubHub. So this does not account for resale on other platforms that you'll hear about today too. So really, our intent with this bill is to create a Vermont scale solution to a Vermont scale problem. I do think it's important to note that we are one of only a few states with no Ticketmaster or Live Nation venues. You may have been following in the national news about Ticketmaster, a court case about Ticketmaster and all of the complications around that. There are major complications with Ticketmaster's business model, but that is not what you've asked me here to talk about, and that is not the particular problem that we're trying to solve here in Vermont. We also do not want to break what is broken, and the House Commerce Committee spent a lot of time crafting a bill that really addresses the specific issues, protects consumers, and still allows for transparency and choice with venues. So I wanted to talk about a few specifics of the bill and use some examples to see why we want to do this and what's happening. So the first piece of the bill is a prohibition on speculative ticket sales. So what we often see are tickets for sale on the resale market before they are available for sale on the venue. So that means that someone has gone to a resale market and said, hey, buy my ticket to this, but they don't have that ticket in their possession yet. Maybe later they'll get that ticket in their possession and it's a real ticket, maybe not, we don't know. So an example of this actually is a summer concert that in Burlington on the waterfront that Higher Ground is putting on. The band is called The Head and the Heart. Tickets went on sale through Higher Ground on March 11th. On March 10th, StubHub sent out an email saying tickets are available now and you could buy them on StubHub now. I will say this email was forwarded to me by the owner of Higher Ground as well. So he was able to verify that no, tickets were not for sale. In fact, they were going on sale the next day. So this ban on speculative ticket sales would make this practice unallowed, not allowed. The other piece of the website is a ban on deceptive, the other piece of the bill is a ban on deceptive websites and deceptive language. The bill would make it unlawful to use deceptive practices that make it look like you're on a website of the primary ticket venue, and it outlaws practices like you see here. This I pulled yesterday from StubHub, and it's a resale, the resale market for these same tickets to the Head and the Heart. And it says that there's only 3% of tickets left at the top. That is not true, as you can see by Higher Ground still selling tickets, many of which are available. The tickets are for sale on Higher Ground's website here for $69. As you can see on StubHub, they're for sale for anywhere from $111 to over $1,000. So,
and I assume you were going to send this presentation to Kiara as soon as you're done.
Sorry to be old.
No worries. No worries.
Right. The other, the piece of this also that we think is important is bringing the enforcement of this under existing consumer protection law. The Attorney General's office has been supportive of this legislation throughout the process. And what would happen is that venues, when a consumer comes to a venue and they come with a big ticket or they've been scammed, Right now, the only person they have to complain to is the venue. And the venue often can say, we can't do anything about this. I will say I've heard a lot of stories from Vermont venues trying to make it right because that's what we do. We try to make great experiences for the public. But in this case, with the bill, venues will be able to direct consumers to the Attorney General's consumer assistance program to file a complaint, and violations can be fined up to $10,000.
Or they could have done that before. Actually, any individual can file a complaint with the Consumer Protection
They can, and
Division of the AG's office. Just saying, if you're listening out there.
and what we're hearing from people though is they're embarrassed when this happens. Who wants to come forward
Because they've been
and say,
scammed.
yeah, exactly. So I think we know it'll be a really different message to consumers when the venue can say to them, this is illegal, this is not your fault, here's exactly what to do. Then we know that will also help the consumer understand this is an event with the venue's fault of this at all. Yes. There's also a provision in here for a 10% price cap on resale, with an exemption for transparent contracted markets. And while the bill covers a lot of important issues that will measurably improve the situation for consumers and venues, the real heart of this bill is a price cap on the secondary resale market. And while we know that no bill can solve every challenge of our modern internet age, we also know that a price cap will have the most impact in ending the incentives for predatory online practices, namely selling tickets for grossly inflated prices and tricking Vermont consumers into purchasing them. Price caps are a crucial part of the market working effectively and protecting consumers. Price caps do not set the price of the original ticket. That is totally up to the venue. Price caps only regulate abusive resale markups that have no relationship to real demand. Markets only work when they're free of fraud and manipulation, and price caps simply prevent the thing that is distorting competition. So last year, Maine passed a state law capping the price on resale at 10% above what was paid for the ticket. Our colleagues in Maine have shared that this legislation has had a meaningful impact on decreasing the problem. 10% was the amount that was determined because it covers the original cost of the ticket for the consumer and any fees that might be incurred. We know that things come up, people can't go to things. Our intent is not to end resale, or not to make it impossible to resell your ticket. We want people to have access to resale markets that are transparent, fair, they know what they're getting into. In the United States, right now, Maine is the only state with a price cap law. However, there is state legislation in around 15 states that includes price caps and regulating the market right now.
Yeah, I thought Maryland had just passed one.
They did pass a ticket law that has a lot of this in there. It does not include a price cap. They are going back in the coming years.
I believe they're readdressing that this year.
Sorry, I mean, I hate to jump in when I just got here, but can you talk a little bit more about Maine when you say it solved the problem? Like what is their experience? Because it's such a complicated thing to do.
And we'll have Megan come and testify to.
Yeah, they've been very open and said they would love to do that. What Maine has said, so what we're seeing is actually that the ticket resellers are highly organized. There are actually lists that say the best states to do business in. Those are states that have no regulations at all. So what happens is if you get your state off that list, it takes away the incentive for predatory resellers to make money there, and then they just kind of don't do it. We're a really small market in Vermont. Our intent with this is to have strong legislation that ensures that we are not on the list of states that people want to visit.
So I'm asking because, and I just bought tickets to Modest Mouse last night, which I'm very excited about. Thank God Shelburne Music, like I live next to a place where I can get world-class concerts in a field with my children. I have had the experience of trying to buy tickets to the big shows, right? The like Montreal, Olivia Rodrigo, trying to see Taylor Swift in Boston. I don't think Vermont and Maine will necessarily see those kinds of shows unless we build a bigger venue.
Which will work.
But in the meantime, the challenge is even to get the tickets that's at the starting price, you have to like spend a day refreshing an American Express like VIP ticket room or whatever if you can. The challenge is whatever price it's set at, it's it's like Disneyland. It's a limited in-person market. So they're trying to manage like access and experience with the fact that people will pay a very high amount to for an exclusive opportunity that is capacity limited. So I don't know that Maine can tell us what happens when you say, okay, well, you know, you didn't get in the you didn't refresh fast enough for this Taylor Swift concert in Boston. So now you're in the market of tickets that are available for a higher price.
I totally agree about the challenges of Ticketmaster. We don't have a Ticketmaster venue in our state.
Right.
So that if there was national legislation about that would be a really important part of it to figure out and really dig into. The intent here that we're hearing from Vermont venues and Vermont consumers is how do we solve this problem in Vermont?
Okay, and we're gonna let you, we have very short time, and I know we have two people who come in from out of state, so I want to be thoughtful about their time.
Quick point, the previous slide, a quick question for me is on the 10% above face value. So I recently bought some tickets to see Nick Offerman at the Flynn, and I'm looking at my tickets right now, and it was $142.75 per ticket, and then $63.78 in taxes and fees. That's 18% markup. So would I be capped at the ticket price, or can I recoup the service and fees? And then if they're resale again, can they just capture that 10% again, compounding it kind of, so if you can go above what fees you pay to any vendor, it is a structural problem for me is how that 10% cap would actually work.
So the way the bill was written out coming out of House Commerce is that it includes the total amount you paid. So to the venue the first time. And then when you resell it, it can be listed for 110% total the second time.
Right.
And then 110% on top of that is listed.
I would theoretically, yes.
110% on top of that.
We have not seen, I mean, yeah, I guess theoretically, yes, that would be true.
We just lost your presentation.
That's okay. I was still the slides. I told a few more things to add.
Right, but you were going to show us the what globally
yes,
has been done on that. And I think just before we go further with your testimony, it'd be interesting to see the global, what
Yes.
other countries have done.
So I also want to emphasize that price caps and regulations on this market are the industry standard globally. Countries are not adopting these resale price caps in theory. They're really adopting them after fans are repeatedly priced out, scammed,
Right.
and exploited. And when you make it illegal to sell a ticket for a grossly inflated price, you really remove the incentive for these bad actors to scam Vermonters. It's not the original experience, which I agree is not ideal. I've refreshed a lot of websites. It's not ideal. But that doesn't happen in the same way in Vermont because of our scale. What we're talking about is the secondary market when people resell those tickets. I'll also add that all of these things aside and the importance of price caps, our intent here is not to break what is not broken. The intent is to increase transparency and choice for consumers. The House Committee created a carve-out on the bill for venues that have signed contracts with a reseller. This means that if a venue has a signed contract with a reseller and they're transparent about a safe marketplace, they're exempted from the price cap. The example of that here is UVM Athletics. UVM Athletics sells their tickets through a company called Paciolan. Paciolan has a contract with SeatGeek. That is working for them. If you are a season ticket holder to UVM Athletics and you say, I can't go to this game, you say resell my ticket, it all works. UVM Athletics knows what's happening. It's really, there's a fair market, it's transparent. That's working for them. The House Committee brought up that idea. That was their work in that to really have some balance to this too, to make sure that we're allowing venues to do what works for them.
Do we know what % of their tickets are sold on that market?
It is small.
Yeah.
It is not a lot.
So most tickets at UVM are sold straight
Primarily.
through the UVM.
Exactly. Yeah. The other thing that I think is worth I can stop sharing. Okay. The other thing that is worth noting for a Vermont example here is that Vermont already regulates predatory markets like this. The Rent-A-Center regulations from about 10 years ago, they set the maximum price that of an item that can be sold in a rent-to-own agreement. So there is precedent in Vermont for capping prices. And actually many states used to have price cap legislation, and that legislation and bans on scalping. Many of states have repealed those. The timing of these repeals actually aligns with the growth and consolidation of the resale ticket market and the professionalization of lobbying efforts by the industry to undermine these common sense regulations. And since those price caps have been repealed, this issue has become worse and worse for consumers. Actually, in Ontario, I think this is a really current and fascinating example. Ontario used to have a 50% price cap. That was what they decided to do.
15 or
50.
I vote.
They got rid of the price cap completely. The government got rid of the price cap. The issue became so bad that now they've as of last week, they announced they've brought a price cap back and only a face value price cap.
on
So
the
they-
tax fees.
They're still working out the tax fees part, but it is even more stringent than it started at because the
Wow.
market was so broken.
So does Quebec have?
I don't think so.
So it's each
No, I-
province of.
So it's just like we're doing it state by state, they're doing it province by
Yeah.
province.
Actually,
Okay.
I don't know that for sure. I'll look that.
And Susan, we can have you
I
back.
can talk
We have
about the
two
first day.
coming from out of state.
All right. So I am happy to take more questions. We really appreciate your attention to this. This is an issue that consumers are asking for, venues are asking for, and really our role here and our role at the Arts Council is to protect and support our creative economy that's working in our state. And we need to have regulations on this to do that.
Thank you.
Quick closing comment.
Yes, Tom.
I just want to say we absolutely need to do this bill, the
Oh.
predatory, this, what do you call it, speculative pricing. This is just, it's not right. It doesn't feel right. I just have a lot of questions about that 10% thing. So that's where I'm going to be coming at it, but I definitely support this bill and moving it forward because I think I might have gotten ripped off once. I'm going to go back and look through my.
Yeah, watch out. Rip off Tom Shipman if you're indeed. Thank you, Susan. It's just a great tee up and we will have you back. Remember, to everybody, we're just starting our work on this bill. And we have, well, the Senate doesn't have endless amount of time to devote to, sadly, the number of bills we have. We will be back to this fairly soon. David, welcome back to our committee. It's good to have you back. Have you met everybody in our
I
committee?
believe so. David Garapi with StubHub.
Introduce yourself and go for the gusto.
Perfect. And Madam Chair, thank you for the invitation. Before I kind of get into the bill itself, maybe a little background on StubHub for those who might not be familiar. We were born a little over 25 years ago over fan frustration. Our founder wanted to go to a sold out show, the Lion King on Broadway, and the experience he had trying to buy those tickets was uncomfortable, was unsettling. And you didn't know if you were getting a real ticket or not, and there were no consumer protections, no customer service, no refunds if something went wrong. And when he thought about it on the flip side, you buy tickets often 2, 3, 4 months in advance. You find out your cousin's getting married, life happens, you can't make the show. And really what that is it's a local issue, right? You have to go to family, friends, coworkers to try to sell those tickets. And, I look at my experience growing up in Maine, similar to a lot of Vermonters, right? You buy Red Sox tickets and you see it might be a rain delay and you don't want to go down to Boston. It's hard to find someone to buy those tickets. So what our founder essentially created was a marketplace that connects buyers and sellers, similar to an Etsy or an eBay, but specific for tickets, right? We don't own tickets. We don't set prices. And so what he also did is he injected a fan protect guarantee into them. So when you buy tickets from StubHub, and if something goes wrong, in the rare cases that something goes wrong, you either get similar or better tickets, or you can get a refund, which could either be a credit back to StubHub or your cash back. So we took something that was consumer unfriendly and made it consumer friendly and put consumer protections to it. As it relates to Vermont specifically, we have about 6,000 users. Last year, over 1,000 people sold tickets on our site. And when you look at Vermont events specifically, 51% of buyers come from out of state. So we are giving access to local Vermonters, but people from out of state are also.
Sorry, of the 6,000, you could tell us that 51% of those are people who came from out of state. to our
No,
event.
sorry. So 6,000 people in Vermont
Use
use our website. So they might be buying a ticket in Massachusetts or Montreal or New York, right?
so all over the world.
6,000 people from Vermont
Bought tickets on stuff.
bought or sold tickets on StubHub. 1,000 people last year in Vermont sold tickets on StubHub. So,
Okay.
as I said, life changed, sold tickets on StubHub. they live in Vermont. Now, when you look at Vermont specific events that are taking place in Vermont, and the people who bought those tickets, 51% from out of state. So,
That's staggering.
so that is people who are coming into the state. Either they're coming into the state for the show. So Goose is a perfect example. They're a national jam band, national following. People will buy those tickets and come here for that. Or, and that number is higher, by the way. If you look at Killington, you look at Stowe, you look at Burlington, a little bit higher in the tourist areas, not surprisingly.
Oh, if you're including, yes,
Because-
my head is stuck in in performance events, but is this also apply to the ski industry?
Any live event,
Oh, and for some people skiing is a live event,
fair enough.
but not
No.
recreation,
No,
not tickets.
we
for-
sell tickets to live events. So
Okay, got
like concerts, sporting events, things of that nature. So, and by the way, a lot of people, they're in state and they're looking for something to do and they go to StubHub to see where gigs may be available. Two quick things on StubHub, then I'll get to the build. I think are important, one on access and one on fraud. 90% of events in North America have a ticket available under $100. Over 60% have a ticket available under $50. And fraud is very rare on our site. Again, when we look at North America, 0.2%, again, 0.2% of orders have any problem at the door on our site. And that's because we do a lot of work on the front end to kind of protect against fraud. As it relates to the bill itself, I think I'll follow up what the senator said. I think we'll probably spend some time talking about where we disagree, but I think on the front end, it's important to talk about where we agree. We think there are strong consumer protections in this bill. The ban on speculative tickets, the ban on deceptive websites, those are real problems and deserve real solutions, and we support those provisions. We'd actually support additional consumer protections being added to the bill. Requirements for all-in pricing, mandatory refunds for secondary markets. There's a number of things that other states have done that we think are strong consumer protections that could be added.
Feel free to email that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Happy to. And then listen, our challenge, not surprisingly, is around price caps, right? Not be, I've said it I can see your shot. Listen, not because we don't want to make tickets more affordable. Everyone wants to do that, but price caps just don't work the way people intend them to do. One, there's a number of studies that show that they don't lower costs. They aren't proven to lower costs. And two, what they do is they don't eliminate the market, they move the market. And what I mean by that is instead of being available on a safe, transparent, regulated platform like StubHub, the tickets then move to unregulated, unsafe channels like social media, like Facebook Marketplace, like TikTok, like Instagram. And
You have
that's
evidence for that in Maine.
in
I mean,
Maine.
you've had this operation in Maine, so you've had the caps.
Well, we
and
don't
you
know.
Actually have evidence that it's actually
So
migrated.
yes, we do. And so I'd say a couple of things. One on Maine specifically, there was a lot of confusion when that debate was going through, whether it was a fee cap or a price cap. People weren't sure which one it was. The Attorney General has come out and said that bill is actually a fee cap and a price cap. It's on the website. I'm happy to provide
Yeah.
it to the committee. And so to say that Maine is working, I don't know how, because the AG says it's not a price cap, it's a fee cap. As far as evidence that we've seen it in a lot of different places. I think Ireland came up. I think that's a really good example, right? Again, what happened was kind of predictable. 2021, they put in their price caps. Tickets became harder to find on the regulated market, like StubHub. They shifted to private channels, social media, and fraud increased, right? And just in 2024 and 25, you can see the Irish police, the Bank of Ireland, the Allied Irish Bank, and Revolut, which is kind of like a Venmo in Ireland, all come out with warnings about ticketing scams that have increased due to that. And one thing I'd say just for domestic, just 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy to send the article to the committee in Charlotte, there was an article of dozens of people that got scammed on social media, thinking they were buying VIP passes. In that case, the seller had them use Cash App and Venmo to make them feel comfortable that this was a legit thing. And then they showed up to the concert. Dozens of people were scammed and nothing. And by the way, unlike a StubHub where if something goes wrong, there's refunds and there's like customer service you can call. They were completely scammed.
But
that was
Scarlett doesn't have a price tag.
correct. What I argue though is that's where that exists now. If you eliminate the regulated market, more of that is going to go. Because from a fan perspective, if a fan can't sell their ticket at the market rate, they're not going to give up. They're going to sell their tickets. So if I buy a $100 ticket, it's stacked at $110, and I can't sell it for $110 on StubHub, then I'll go on Facebook Marketplace or TikTok and try to send it for $150 because that's the market is still
It
there.
depends on what your objective was in buying the ticket in the first place. If your ticket,
Sure.
if your objective was to actually just see the performance and you're not a speculative,
But it's really hard to tell on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, my nanny got scammed out of $400.
Yeah, and I think people, 99% of the people that sell on StubHub are individuals, right? And I've had it happen where I got tickets to a show, babysitter cancels on me 2 days before, I resell what's called a $100 ticket for $50 or $75 to recoup my money. But maybe I bought a ticket to a sold out show that has high demand. Why would I sell it at 75 if I could get 125 for it, right? There's people.
because you care about your other promoters, you might want to buy that.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Few questions. So I think it just should say 99% are individuals, but that last, is that just the number of sellers versus what percentage of the actual tickets are
Yeah,
sold by
exactly.
individual?
Yeah.
Really 99 by individual
But-
sellers and not like a couple of big actors that are selling.
Quick, 99% of sellers
Yeah.
are individuals.
And then of the tickets sold, how many of them are from repeats and resellers? I'm expecting that there's a few active repeat
Yes.
resellers that are taking up a big volume of activity.
There's
So-
certainly, especially when you look nationally. So for example, baseball's a perfect example, right? A baseball team, again, it's not, because I use a national stat. I know this doesn't apply to Vermont, but just for comparison.
But I thought you said
No,
sports, the tickets were part of this.
sports tickets. Yeah,
No,
it's a live event.
Yeah, but so skiing. I mean, so this is all only events. Okay,
Yes.
as opposed to,
Yeah.
baseball, right? You view it.
So when I say 99% of sellers nationally, right?
But the volume of tickets, what percent of tickets are sold by resellers that are individuals that are just doing this a lot versus individuals?
As a profession.
I'm guessing there's a couple of high volume.
Yes, there are
active
certainly,
resellers.
yes, exactly. There are, so baseball, again, as I was saying, for example, a baseball team may look at a professional broker and say, you know what, we're going to sell you 200 tickets
Yeah.
to every baseball game.
Okay.
To manage their inventory. So that's why the national number is.
But that would be a venue that has a contract with a secondary seller.
Right. We
So
would know
that
that.
is like UVM. That's not what we're talking. Yeah,
Right.
we're accepting it.
Secondly, so Uber, when it first came online, was a platform, so
Yeah.
there's StubHub, and there were lots of issues where they weren't qualifying drivers and validating
Right.
the driver. What do you do to make sure these sellers aren't acting maliciously? Which will tie to my third question, which I was kind of misleading. 3% of tickets left, selling for twice as much when it's available on the venue. I don't think that aligns with how you opened up the origin story of StubHub. He didn't have a good experience buying from the Lions Club. I gotta say that makes me feel icky.
I totally understand it. So I think when we say 3% of tickets, it's no different than if Walmart says there's only 10 left, doesn't mean there's not 100 of that same product at Target, right? That being said, we appreciate the concerns. I think that's addressed, that the House changed the bill to address that. No objections there.
David, I have to ask you because we have another person who's come in from out of state. Brian, I believe you've come in from out of state. So we only have a few more minutes on this because we have to deal with amendments.
Yes, the last thing I would just note, one thing that's been proven is that price caps are also unenforceable. And the reason being, we can't validate the original purchase price and neither can the state, right? A perfect example, UVM, if you purchase a ticket, I did, the ticket price isn't on the ticket. So if you're going to put a price cap on 110%, you naturally need to know what the base price is.
I have never bought a ticket where the price wasn't on the ticket.
I purchased a UVM ticket. I'm happy to provide that to the committee as
Wow.
well. And so, and by the way, that's not unique. This happened in Connecticut, and UConn testified that their ticket provider isn't able to put the ticket price on there.
So perhaps that will be improved. Happen. The prices will be on the ticket.
And how do you qualify sellers? How do you validate that they're individuals that are of honorable intent?
So, a couple things. One, we do a lot of fraud protection on the front end via technology, right? If you suddenly never sold a ticket and you're putting 100 tickets on, that would raise fraud alert from a technology standpoint. The other thing we do, even just like little things, if you sell the ticket, you don't get paid until the buyer gets into the show. So things like that create a disincentive.
You don't get that in the dark market.
Exactly. So we hold the money, and once you get in, then you'll get it. I buy the ticket from you. If I don't get in, you don't get your money, and we'll charge you up to 2x the cost of the ticket as a penalty. And if it's egregious, we'll ban you from our website.
Great. David, would you be kind enough to send your testimony to us?
Yes.
To Kiara, and then we will all.
And happy to provide the main AG
Yeah.
post as well.
I
Right, absolutely.
I'm
That's the
bummed
right.
that we don't have a way to do like election segment for legislators. We're behind paywalls with things like Northern Herald, and I can't read the article.
Yes, that would be great. If you could send the printed out article with not just the links, because the payrolls are a challenge. That would be
No,
great.
that's from the Attorney General's website.
Oh, okay.
So I will
No,
send
no,
a
I
link.
know, I just, I
Yeah.
really want to read the articles about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I thought we had a service.
So David, yeah, well, let's take that up with budget council. Thank you very much. Send your testimony if you would to Kiara
Absolutely.
and Brian as well.
The Flynn too.
Sorry, what?
The Flynn was on the schedule too.
It is.
I can do it very quickly. There's
Or we can
certain
have them-
points that haven't been raised.
We can
today
have
that I think-
We are thrilled to hear, but we may have to have you back. Let's just see how we go. Right. So, sorry, it's a tough day. We have judicial retention at 10:30, which means normally we have 3 hours. Today we have an hour and a half.
I just say-
So we would, I hate to, yeah, anyway, Brian, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Good morning.
Right.
I'm Brian Barry. I'm the Executive Director of the Ticket Policy Forum. We are an association of ticket marketplaces. I should note and clarify, Ticketmaster and Live Nation is not a member of our association. We compete with Live Nation Ticketmaster. We have 6 companies that are members of our group. There may be many websites and companies out there selling tickets, but I'll tell you the 6 that are members of our association are professional ticketing companies. They only sell tickets. StubHub, who you heard from, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, TickPick, Game Time, and Event Ticket Center. Like I said, they only do one thing, that is sell tickets. And I should also note that there's been an evolution in the market where they're not just resale marketplaces. You heard a little bit about UVM and their work with our member SeatGeek. SeatGeek is also a company that you
SeatGeek.
find
Yes.
their name on the side of buildings because they're trying, as was evident in the trial in the Southern District of New York, trying very difficult and having a hard time to compete head to head. StubHub, that you heard from, works directly with venues as well, so that venues can list their tickets directly on its platform at the prices the venue set. So it's not just a situation where a ticket holder decides what they're selling their tickets for. So very gray is the best way. I've been in the industry for 10 years. It's become very gray because
How long is your association?
we launched in 2025.
Oh, so you're
Yeah,
very new.
We're new as a association of the marketplaces. I've worked with Major League Baseball. We've worked with the Broadway producers. I've worked with another ticketing marketplace, before going into the industry overall. David hit most of the points, but I would note that there is a lot of good, Senator, which thank you for raising that point as well. There's a lot of good in this bill for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's equitable. It applies to everyone. The rules that you set here will apply to every company that chooses to sell here. So if there are things about the way that a offer is being listed on a website that you don't like, that can be cleaned up. So there's enhanced disclosures that the House added. There may be additional disclosures that this committee adds, but that I think will go a long way in terms of informing the consumer who they're buying from. There are many consumers out there we have found. Our industry sells approximately 100 million tickets a year in the United States. It's been 26 years since StubHub first started and other companies came onto the scene. It's the only thing we do is fill seats. At the end of the day, an empty seat is not a seat where the individual is purchasing merchandise, purchasing food and beverage. It's a good thing when seats.
No producer wants to see FTC.
No one wants to see
Happy to.
and FTC. Yes. So there's a lot of good in that bill, from the perspective of speculative ban, which you heard from the Arts Council. What was shown on screen will go away. as a result of that. Some of the enhanced disclosures, will go away. There's also some deceptive websites that will fall under this and ideally go away. I should note that I mentioned 6 companies that we work with the vast majority of the industry. There may be hundreds and hundreds of companies out there, if you call them a company, a website that is pretending to be a venue. Our belief is very simple. If you have to pretend to be someone you are not when you're selling something, you should not be selling something, and nor should people be buying from you. Don't pretend to be the venue. If there's the Flynn, buy from the Flynn. If you want a comparison shop, which we tell people they should. As for some states, Maine was already discussed. The Attorney General in Maine has clarified this is a fee cap, not a price cap. Madam Chair, you asked about Maryland. I testified there. That price cap is not advancing. They passed a very strong bill just 2 years ago.
In the process now that they were working on it stuff.
It's been shown. Massachusetts, only 2 years ago, repealed its price cap. This year, Wisconsin, Washington State, Oklahoma, Tennessee, New Mexico, West Virginia have looked at this and turned the other direction. Instead, looking at other reforms that will improve the market without necessarily affecting competition in the market. Connecticut has a bill right now. They removed the price cap from it. New Hampshire, only 2 years ago, looked at a comprehensive ticketing bill, removed price caps from it before the bill ultimately did anything further. So regionally, that is the trend. Across the country, that is the trend. The unenforceability is a serious issue here. We have no ability to know, for the most part, what the price was that was paid originally. So to require regulated platforms to not allow a ticket to be sold for more than 110%, when we don't know what that 110% is, we hope we can work with you.
Hopefully there'll be a migration to actually putting the price.
There used to be, when I first came into the industry,
Every
price
Broadway
was
ticket
was
has a
on
price.
everything.
But it doesn't include taxes and fees. So
Right.
this is my tickets for Nick Offerman, and that's 18% markup on tickets and fees. That's not going to show on the ticket. So I think
Right.
that's your point, right?
That's any of the pricing. And the other thing too is, it's venue by venue. I think, our advice always is laws should be future proofing as well. And we don't know what the future of events in Vermont might be. You may have a large summer amphitheater at some point. This case that's going on with Live Nation Ticketmaster is one that your Attorney General is involved in
Right.
and is suing to keep the monopoly at bay. I would say, around Vermont, Live Nation Ticketmaster has made incredible advances. They work with venues to price tickets dynamically. So while some venues may put a ticket on sale for $50 and it's always $50, there are many, on the other hand, that are capable of changing that price by hour, like an Uber, depending on the demand.
This insidious sort of surveillance
It's
pricing.
dynamic pricing.
We're looking at it in another bill and we'll be looking at it next year in legislation.
And that, Madam Chair, is why the third point I would make, there's a consequence concern we have, which is pushing into fraudulent markets. Those shady, scamming websites steal business from us too, just like the venue box office. Every ticket that is sold on our marketplaces is a ticket that has already been purchased. Please remember that this is a ticket that has been bought and paid for. The speculative ban will deal with tickets that haven't been bought and paid for, right? So these are good things. So tickets sold will be within constructive possession, either purchased and in hand, or there's a contract awaiting delivery of those tickets. But where this price cap additionally has a flaw is it's lopsided. So there's nothing to prevent a venue, not suggesting the Flynn does this, but a venue generally speaking, from continuing to raise their prices, but only capping the price on the resale market. So while a $50 ticket today could not be sold more than 110%, the venue, the very same day, could double the price because demand is strong. So still Vermonters will still have the potential to face higher prices. So this won't
We don't
solve.
To do that. I mean,
Unless
just
that's legislated, right? I hear you. That's a business decision, but it does happen in throughout the market. There's the ability to change price. Therefore, there's no guarantee that the Vermonter would receive it at only 110%. So we do worry about the fraud, and then also the compliance. There just is no mechanism right now.
So we need to work on enforcement compliance
And enforcement and compliance. I'd
and
love to work with
maybe
you on that.
globally at how the price cap is working. Because all you've mentioned, I mean, we did have a brief mention of ours. but it would be interesting to see globally how the price caps.
And other states, because where it has been studied in the United States, the National Hockey League is a good example.
Yes, they are.
They studied this. There was no meaningful of reduction in cost. So they didn't see the reduction. That was a 3-year study. They didn't see a reduction in the cost of tickets. Instead, they saw an increase in fraud. This is real. You talked about scams this morning, so I don't need to tell you what those look like. But people fall for it all the time. Those are not real tickets. Those are not real ticketing companies, nor do they provide guarantees and protection.
Brian, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if you'd be kind enough to submit your testimony
Absolutely.
also to Kiara, that would be great. And,
Can I make sure I understand?
yeah, actually, Keisha, and then we're gonna go to Kevin briefly. I apologize.
So regardless of where we go with the cap, the piece about having a relationship between the venue and some of these websites.
Yeah.
Does that solve a lot of your members' issues that they would be the website of repute or whatever?
No, I understand what you mean.
The trusted
Like a
integrity.
seller of
Secondary.
record.
Yeah.
A seller of record. I mean, that is UVM's approach. I mean,
Right.
UVM has the capability to
Good
work with
approach.
anyone they want to work with.
Mhm.
By the way, venues oftentimes, again, perhaps not with a Flynn, will be oftentimes facing exclusive contracts where they can only work with some providers and not others. That can be a problem for our members because then they are precluded,
Mhm.
even with legislation, working with a.
Well, but
vendor.
perhaps integrity requires exclusion at some point if you are limiting yours, and what you would want to fight for is being that secondary seller.
And we're talking a lot about the buyer, Madam Chair. We also have to think of the seller. We've
Yeah.
learned over 26 years that the trade-off for safety when it comes to ticket resale is allowing the seller of the ticket to set the price of their ticket.
Right.
You know, if I have a home that I can fetch a lot more money for, I might do it, but still want to do it through a realtor, make sure it's registered with the county, I'm paying all the taxes and fees. Oftentimes, these
Right.
ticket sellers will go elsewhere
Thank
if they can't do it on our platform.
Got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
So-
Thank you very
But
much.
thank you very much,
Really appreciate, and if we need you again, we'll zoom you in.
for sure.
But we
Thank you.
appreciate your TSA attention.
I shouldn't have any problems at TSA.
No, and he's right. I had a really hard time figuring out, my nanny couldn't get her visa to go to Canada to see a show with me. So I had to like cast a net far and wide to find a friend to come because I couldn't figure out how to otherwise sell the
And we
ticket.
need to be able to have.
I was gonna stand outside and be like, just want to go see the show.
But
A friend that came with me.
Kevin, join us just for a second. Adult ed, we have to wait for a minute.
I appreciate that. Thank
No,
you.
we're great, and we're close enough, and we're close enough, so. we
I
don't
do,
have
but
to-
I'm also planning 2 weeks away, so that's, I had a bunch of other things.
Thank you very much for joining.
Can you just throw up the reseller process? So we've already discussed. it, right?
Introduce yourself.
Kevin Sweeney, I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Flynn. I'm an 18-year veteran of marketing.
We make it sound great.
So we all know that tickets are purchased by individuals. Recently, this has become such a profitable industry that there are actually call centers being set up, purchasing tickets and then putting them on these resale sites. We have no recourse on fraud, and what happens too often to the tune of $20-something thousand last year. These individuals will purchase on fraudulent credit cards, put them on a resale site. The buyer of those tickets from the resale site has those tickets in hand. If we know in advance that fraud was, they're canceled. Then that person can go to the ticket resale. What happens most often is the tickets, credit card fraudulent isn't reported until after the show closes. And that means they made the money on the tickets, which they pay nothing for, and the venue absorbs 100% of that, not the act. So you understand, typically the Flynn, out of 100% of sales, 95%, we try to work on 5% because that's about our margin. We're not going to the. Additionally, if there's a change in program. For instance, dates rescheduled, cancellations, last minute time changes. We have no method of communicating with people who bought resale tickets. And when we contact the people who purchase the tickets for resale, 90% of the time they don't pass on the information. So we have people showing up at the venue for shows that have been canceled, that have been communicated. We've had people not show up at the right time when the time's been changed. There is no action. Resellers do not provide the Flynn with a person who sold those tickets to the other person. So the communication of
So
change,
perhaps that's a piece that we should address at some point.
that's part of it as well.
Because it
Yeah.
benefits all the venues, particularly nonprofit venues, in terms of actually capturing
Right.
who you're selling tickets to. So that let's put a pin in that one.
Let me jump ahead here. So we cannot afford, the Flynn is not cannot afford to compete on Google AdWords to promote. So if you go in and look for tickets, I don't know, if you did Music Man tickets right now for the Flynn, you're gonna have 5 resale sites pop up. Please note that, that's part of our challenge. These are all the resale sites, and I've had 20 ads since I presented this to the office. It's continuing to grow and grow. Some of these bear striking resemblance to ones that have been in existence for several years when you look at their time.
Have you had some of them mimic the Flynn website?
Yes, could you go on to the next? Those, what I can see are, okay, so yes, here's an example in social media. So someone says, oh, this price that you're advertising your post here seems too low to be true. That's an example of them just going and Googling tickets and finding these prices that are insane markups. So I mentioned that many will advertise the lowest price, limited availability, which already came up. They won't note they're not the primary source, and they do advertise tickets not on sale, and they do them at the website. We look at the next one. And in some fraud cases, they've sold the same tickets multiple times. So I'm going to point out SeatGeek on this one, best prices on the best seats. Go over to SeatGeek. This is an eco case. These are the prices they're advertising. 102, 85 to 102. Our prices are 60 to 71. Their advertising showing in most resale sites. I'm not going to remove anybody from this. We'll put urgency on. Oh, your ticket's in your car. Buy them within 2 minutes. So there's all of this pressure. I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had with consumers who walk in asking me to please explain to their friends who they purchased the tickets as a group why they paid 3, 4, 5 times. Up to next one. We'll keep going. I want that. This is an example of box office ticket sales and how they have our marquee to make it look like. Again, I can provide hundreds of examples. The next slide is keep going with the Book of Mormon. Big problem for us is the brand perception, and it does have a very negative impact. Yes, we want to sell every seat as was noted, but if people go to a resale site, see a ticket that's 3, 4, 5 times the price, the list price of the ticket, they frequently go, I can't afford this. And then they'll sometimes even email or comment, you guys are ripping us off. You should be ashamed of yourselves. These resale sites do not really focus on what's best for the venue, regardless of what is being sold. What's best for the venue, we have our own CRM and ticketing system that we pay hundreds, over $100,000 a year for, that provides us with great information and ability. But when they get on and mark up tickets, do we have these? There's a great example I had it pulled because of the short time, but Music Man tickets, which we had plenty left right now. I wish to say that wasn't the case, but it's only 50% sold for 2 performances. They have tickets out there for 5, 6. Their tickets are $800 on sale before we even put them on sale. So the impact of resellers talking about working with venues, they're not working with us. When someone purchases a ticket, they hit a checkbox that says, I'm purchasing these for my own use and not for resale. So
That's on your website.
that's on our website. It's a terms and conditions line, and they check off on it and then go out and put them on these sites. Again, protect the consumer. This bill, the 10% cap, there has to be a cap. Gentleman spoke, David, I believe his name was, about Lion King in New York years ago. New York used to have a 10% cap on ticket resales. When that was removed, the prices of Broadway skyrocketed to the point, just talked to one of the Broadway producers this week. To the point that when they see on a resale site, $1,000 for a front row seat, they change their pricing to $900 to the front of the seat. We don't want to do that. The Flynn's primary and most of the objectives of the other performing art venues in the state of Vermont want to make art, performance, music, dance, what have you, accessible to all Vermonters and remove these barriers that exist by these resale markets. It's having a very negative impact, and I think this is just I've seen that it's a growing state, right?
Right.
We've identified and then refunded, which we do, keep going, and credit card fraud last year was 15,000. Additionally, the fraud has invested in staff. We have a part-time person at a cost of $25,000 a year who does nothing but monitor ticket reselling. Plus, when we roll in the other calls, follow-ups, and emails and other stuff, it's costing us over $50,000 a year. The Flynn, I can provide that.
Yeah, no, we'd love to have that, and we'd love to have you back, actually. And if you'd be kind enough to send your slides and your testimony to Kiara, that would be great. I guess one question is, you have yet, unlike UVM, you have yet to create a contracted partnership with a reseller.
We don't need to have a resellers.
You know, your prices are much better than. So what is amazing to me is if people are outraged by those high prices, they just calling the box office and saying, really? This particular.
They do. They
Good.
do.
They should.
And on
Call.
3 years ago, because I worked in 2 venues. in
Call a real person.
We ended up, when I saw this problem, one of the first things I did, because I talked to so many patrons who felt victimized, that we created a sheet, and one of the items on that sheet was to call the consumer protection number of Vermont.
Well, but more importantly, call the box office at the Flynn.
Well,
To-
they frequently are talking to us because when they find out is when they're at the theater.
Right. Thomas, last question, and then we need to shift to adult learning.
First of all, I just love the Flynn. I try to go to see shows there anytime I possibly can. And
Here,
there's
here.
Nick Offerman right now is not sold out at 4 p.m. I got the 7 p.m. tickets. You got plenty of tickets, but StubHub is selling me tickets with only 4% left at more than twice the price right now. So
Exactly.
this isn't right. I mean, it should say something like tickets still available at the venue and you should go there.
If one of my primary points that I'm not seeing in the bill is you use on a font size that is as large as any other font, these are resale tickets. They won't do that. And if they did that, their business would shrink because then people would go to the venue.
Wendy, we're gonna be another 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll
We're
come
gonna
back.
be 10:15.
I'll come back.
I thank you.
Kevin, thank you more to
Appreciate
follow.
that.
We appreciate, and do we go, I can't remember if we do font size here. We did it with Dave Bill, but I can't remember on this.
I don't.
It's not in the, there's nothing about sizing.
Yeah. Great. Kevin,
Appreciate
Brian,
the,
David, Susan, thank you very much. More to follow. We're just beginning to get a feel for this bill and what our challenges are. Thank you very much for those of you who came in
Thank you.
and for our local advocates. Thank you very much.
And I'm sending that article about Disney and how challenging.
Oh, yeah.
the issue is. I finally got the gift article. Right.
Great. Brian and David, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Claire, thank you. Okay, we're gonna shift.
Yeah.
We're gonna shift gears.
Coming up.
Todd, we're gonna see you. We're gonna add you to the witness list too. For this bill. Yep, but I think Maine and Susan, if you could.
For Maine and.
Yeah, and a global one or two. We're at price caps. Actually, are
Yeah.
great. Adult learners, we need to see you briefly.
Yes.
We have 15 minutes. So we're gonna shift to labor, to workforce development and to workforce. Hi, come on in. Hey. Yeah.
So,
So we got- But they-
Hi, sir. My name's Jonathan. Oh, okay, this is down.
Okay, who is on deck first?
I'm
Welcome. let's close the door, Meg, and let's get started because we have 15 minutes.
I'm going to start off. I have this. I will not do that. Good morning. And for the record, I am Brian Kravitz. I'm a resident of Waterbury, and I'm director of outreach and workforce development at Central Vermont Adult Ed. I'm very honored to bring our students here today to share the work that we're doing to help
Great
the
to have
workforce
you.
and the economy. And with that, I will put that away and let us start with, who'd like to go first?
You go first.
You'll go first. Hold on. Remember to say your name first. Yeah.
Yeah, come and join us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Paul Stumbar. Originally, I'm from South Sudan. I came here in 2023 as a refugee.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to come and say thank you for supporting Vermont Other Learnings. I've benefited from it so much. I was brought to family of Paramount Chief. My dad had 9 wives and 50 children. So I've always known that in the family something like that, because my dad, as a chief for the community, he would usually go to resolve the community issues under the tree, and I would accompany him, listen to how he addressed the community issues. So in the evening when we come back home, he would ask me what I've seen, what was my observation. I would give him my opinion about how we would have resolved some of the community issues in a good way. And wherever case that I mentioned, my dad would send his messages to call that person and maybe adjust the fine or waive some of the punishment for that person. So that has always been our feelings to be someone that can serve the community in a good way. So my desire at that point was to go to school and be like my father, serve the community. But I never got the opportunity to go to school because of the war in South Sudan at that time. Because the Sudanese authorities were interested in my community lands because of oils and minerals. So we used to experience a lot of bombardment day and night. So I never got the opportunity to go to school until the time that I got injured. Here I have some ration in my hand here by the helicopter, and I was taken to Kenya by the helicopter. So it is from there, as a refugee, I went to school. I didn't finish the school very well. So in 2011, I decided to go back to my country because South Sudan was breaking away from Sudan to become a country. So I decided, let me go back home so that I can support my country to break away from Sudan, so that I can have a home that I will not be identified with a color or maybe because of religion. So I went there. We got our independence, 2011. Within 2 years, civil war break out again. Then I end up now running back to refugee camp. So from Kenya back to Uganda, and then from Uganda I came to the United States. So when I came here, without wasting time, I joined the Vermont Other Learning because I had that feelings of being like my father to serve my community. So I have been with Vals for the last almost now going to, this will be my 3rd year. I was given a test to take before I would have been enrolled from the class, but I didn't even score at that time. So I failed, but I didn't give up. So until now, I have improved a lot. I have now studied almost all the courses that Vals used to offer the student, and I've improved a lot. So I'm very grateful to be able to state the leadership also and one other because I am a chief alone right now, and by this month of June, I am graduating, and I am hopeful that I'll join university and do laws, economic and public policy, so that in future, if my country get peace, I can go back home and then now
That would be great.
serve my community.
Thank you. So adult learning has really been a lifeline for you and a path into what your future career and you hope to make your future career and to take it back to
We're gonna have recess.
that piece of Sudan,
Yeah.
which needs your leadership so much.
Yes, if I did, I was just wondering if I didn't come to this state, where would I have been by now?
Right.
So I've benefited a lot in this state, and I am very hopeful that I will have a bright future, and I will be a very useful citizen to this state as well as this country. and even factor increase. Because my dream is not to go back home one day with maybe material things and money or anything. I just want to go back home with education. So
With the tools to lead.
yes, so that I can go and then make a change in community.
We wish you good luck. Thank you. Anybody have a question before we? And it's pronounced dual.
Yeah, dual.
Dual.
DOLs. And then meeting.
Means meeting.
Yeah, today I was meeting in my back compound, so that day I was born. So
That's great. Well, my guess is many meetings are in store for you. Including this one. Thank you so much. It's great. And who might we hear from next?
We're gonna hear from Princess. And
Gracious.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Griselda Gonzalez. And it is a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you for inviting us. I'm from Colombia and I came to the United States 1 year and a half ago. And I came with the conviction of giving 180 degrees to my daddy. I arrived to Texas, but after a year, I came to Vermont. I'm sorry for my bad English.
You're doing incredibly well.
Okay. Here in Vermont, I have found people with big hearts, people very kind. The United States is a country of opportunities. And for me, the most important is that here I feel safe. Here I'm learning English. And also I have found the CPAE. Adult education has been a great help with all of us. And also for people like me who think that English is the barrier that we must break to move forward with our goals. In my point of view, adult education is helping me to understand better and to speak more fluently. English is not easy, it's very hard for us. But adult education teaches us that step by step we can do it. Recently, in addition to my English classes, adult education gave me the opportunity to take a job training course in weatherization.
Great.
It was a really big challenge for me, but not impossible. I had great teachers and also special English classes to get new vocabulary about weatherization. It was 3 weeks of training. And in these classes included OSHA and first aid training. Also in these classes, I discovered that OSHA is my passion. And in the future, I would like to study something with OSHA. Okay. And now I'm working with Walmart Delivery, but I'm hoping to get full-time with some company in weatherization. Because I would like to give back to the Central Vermont community.
And is your plan to stay here in the United States?
Yes.
So unlike Dual, who's hoping to go take his new skills and go back, we hope you're able to go back. It's wonderful to have you.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate it that you are here with us and opening the door for all of us. And trusting in us is very important. Thank you. And I hope to continue learning and to get a good job here with utilization. I would like to finish with a phrase that adult education used, and it says, learning lasts a lifetime. The meaning in Spanish is, el aprendizaje dura toda la vida. And it's a phrase for me very interesting and inspiring. So thank you so much for all
Thank
your
you.
help.
Learning is a lifetime of opportunity, and I mean, we should all be learning our entire lifetimes. I mean, that's part of why I think all of us love being legislators, is we learn every day something new.
Okay, thank you. So thank you so much,
Thank
and I'm grateful for with all of you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
And Jonathan.
Jonathan,
Oh, God, okay.
you got it, John.
Hi,
You got it.
my name is Jonathan Stoner,
Hello, Jonathan.
and
Welcome.
I am definitely nervous.
Don't be.
The nearer we got them up here in the car, the more the nerves went. And then I saw the on the dome, and I was like, oh my God, I'm scared. All right. So, okay. I was unsure about my future. I joined Vermont Adult Learning to work on my English writing skills along with my math skills. I am learning how to write creative, persuasive, and a term paper, which has already helped my writing. My family has told me that my writing skills have improved. When my friends and family read my emails, they tell me that they can understand my message for the first time.
Correct.
I'm also in a band called Diamond. I write songs, and my mind has opened up to new ideas since working on my writing skills. My math skills have also improved. I have gone from pre-algebra to algebra. This makes me happy. I am glad because I'm sick of pre-algebra.
Lots of people can agree with you.
I wanted to try algebra. My math teacher Liz has helped me with my math confidence, which has greatly improved. When I first started, my brain could not handle looking at a problem without being scared. Thanks to my math teacher, I am slowly getting less scared. My math improvement has come in swimming and shopping because my confidence has reached a higher level. My ability to understand the intense rhythm of advanced drumming has improved greatly too. My goals in the future are either to go to trade school or to return to college and get my bachelor's degree. No matter what the next step, all of the learning in the Vermont Now Learning is helping me will teach me the skills for my next step. Thank you very much. I think it's very important to have funding for Vermont Adult Learning to help people of all
All abilities,
Yeah.
all walks of life.
all walks of life to come and get a better time in America.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, all three of you. We are very grateful. And we appreciate you illustrating some of the strengths of adult learning, which we value enormously in this committee and advocate for in appropriations. So thank you all very much. You were perfect timing.
Thank you, Chair.
Right. Thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of the day. And Jonathan,
Yes,
don't be
yes.
scared of the dome or the State House. We're all just people.
Okay.
It's just, we're all here together.
You all look so nice. You all dress nice, coats and ties and dressing. It's just so amazing.
Well, we have a dress code.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you so much. And if you'd send Wendy Harrison in, that would be great. Wendy, Wendy and Rick.
Okay, it warmed you up.
Yeah, thanks. We had ticket sellers and then adult learners. which
I
was
remember
exciting.
from last year.
Yeah, it's really great.
No, they're great. We were hanging out. All.
Wendy, welcome. Do we have a copy of your,
I do not know. It is very brief.
Oh, we do, sorry.
Sorry, what?
327.
Got a copy of your, thank you. Here's a copy, and this is the 327, which is on the floor this afternoon.
Correct.
So we're aiming to hear it now.
Okay, so I can do this in 30 seconds if you want, or I can do it in a minute.
You have 10 minutes.
Wow, okay.
I mean, until we all.
Okay, and we have the attorney.
Who's got my back too? Right.
Yes.
Terrific. Okay. Welcome, Wendy. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Wendy Harrison, and I represent the Wyndham District, which is in southeast Vermont. So this is an amendment that I would like to propose today. And it's regarding the inventory that is in 327. And I want to make sure that employee-owned businesses and co-ops are included in this inventory. I understood that part of the impetus for this bill is to support Vermont businesses, and employee-owned and co-ops are the kind of business that will stay in Vermont. As you heard me say before, so there is a rationale for this. The first part of the amendment, I can leave for the Rick to discuss, and it has to do with how the bill was changed by appropriations. So the purpose is more accurate now. And he can explain that more if you would like. The second instance of amendment is the one that addresses my
In section 7, which is what, yeah.
section 7, correct? Where it inserts language saying stakeholders, including representatives of employee-owned businesses, to make sure that employee-owned businesses are considered. Sometimes they're not seen as part of the regular business realm, and just I've looked for a few examples because I use the term co-op a lot, and so we often think of co-op grocery stores, which are fundamental and helpful, but those are not the only kind of employee owned. Chromos, you're probably familiar with, that's employee owned. There's IT companies, King Arthur banking company, credit unions. There's a construction company, PC Construction, that is employee owned. And there's Empire and Independent Valuation, which is a consulting firm, and that's employee owned. And I know of a bridge company that is employee owned. So there's all kinds of businesses that are doing good work. And when we support employee owned, the revenues that are generated by that business go into, their employees, which are also local.
Right. I mean, I have to say, but my pushback on this is stakeholders. There are so many stakeholders that to call out just one set is a little challenging. And so we chose to keep it just stakeholders.
Right.
And I think that's my only concern with this is that otherwise we create a laundry list of stakeholders.
I understand. And again, the attorney can talk about that because there was not in this section, there was not a list of types of businesses to include. It just said businesses.
Right.
So
all businesses.
He could have included a separate item on that long list, but that long list is really what is going to happen, not who is going to be part of what happens. But I just find that employee owned is often left out. And I think it's crucial to not leave them out.
Right. And the House can decide whether to include and be specific about the stakeholders they want to, which is, thank you. Any questions for Wendy before we move to Rick?
Thank you for your consideration.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it.
I'm just gonna.
Thank you for being such an advocate for employee-owned businesses, which we have seen in your Pepsi work, in your all sorts of veggie work. Rick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, Rick Segal with the Office of Legislative Counsel. Draft 1.4 of the amendments, Senator Harrison, what I deferred to me on section 1. So Senate appropriations deleted all the sections that had appropriations, and
Section 1 did not have an appropriation.
No, so I'm getting to why I amended section one. Section one is the purpose statement,
Right.
and
One of the
because
things they laugh.
so, I'll give you my explanation and you can
Just so you know, I'm taking the entire bill that passed out of this committee to House Conference.
understand. So because the Senate adopted the appropriations amendment, which struck through the certain sections, the purpose statement no longer makes sense.
Right.
Understood if you want to leave it in the bill so the House can see what was in there. It does say deleted, so when I will inform the House what was there, of course, the sections that were approved, I will inform them this is what was in there. But again, the purpose statement updated to reflect what is actually in the past version of the bill.
Sure.
Sir Thomas.
I'm generally fine with this. This is because we've passed the appropriations amendment yesterday at second reading. And so this is adjusting the intent to reflect that approved amendment. But we do this a lot, like the pros guts things a lot. Is this common that we need to adjust the intent after they do their gutting?
They do their gutting.
The gutting, so can I take a step back? The bill, the way it was drafted was based on last year's economic development bill.
Yeah.
Which the budget was done very early last year. So the way that, the bill was drafted was in allocations because there already been appropriations made. So the bill used the same language because the budget is not done yet. They are comfortable saying, you know what, let's remove this all because we'll have a list of things that we're going to put in order contingencies and then we'll put it back if we need to. So because language was drafted as far as allocations, they chose to strike the language instead of just saying the contingency. I offered to amend the language to make it, to leave it in there and use the word contingent, but they preferred to strike the language.
Which is frustrating because it has no appropriations actually in it.
Perfect.
So there's a choice they made to not make a contingent, to actually strike it. That's what warrants this discussion about.
The argument that was made was that because it's allocation, there does not have to be an appropriation, therefore it's confusing. And they don't want to have to deal with language that it uses words that means the money's
Well,
already
you
been
didn't use the word
appropriated.
like investing in our economic resources. Which we hope it will by the time we leave here in May. Got it.
Yep.
So I want to keep our original purpose because I'm hopeful that some of our appropriations will make it through. How does the committee feel about that? I do feel that this is on the wall. This isn't struck forever. This is just temporarily gutted. How do you temporarily gut a fish? So I feel that in some ways, the time to redo the purpose is once we actually have the work, the final work done by a pro. And then at that point, Wendy, I would, if you don't mind, I would prefer to amend the purpose at that point, which will reflect the bill as it finally makes it through. Is that fair?
Are you talking?
Well, yeah, you're proposing it.
I am neutral on the purpose.
Okay, right. Okay, so your real concern is the second reading.
Correct.
Okay, so I would strike this and live in hope and push very hard to live in hope and advocate for this when we're there and the work is being done on this. Is that okay, everybody? Okay, great. So second instance of amendment, we need to move on. How do people feel in section 7 on line, well, what was line 14? Now, who knows, probably line 2. It basically would then read the Commissioner of Economic Development in consultation with stakeholders, including representatives of employee-owned businesses, for the purpose of determining how the state better, blah, 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 right? Or how do people feel? I feel that stakeholders includes everybody, but I also appreciate Wendy's advocacy for employee-owned businesses, which, how are people feeling?
Not against this. It seems to just be intentionally inclusive of a voice that maybe hasn't been heard of enough of previously. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. It's relatively
David?
neutral.
As a 10-year alumni of one of the nation's largest employee-owned companies, I remain ambivalent. I understand the intent. I don't necessarily think it needs a unique call out, but I don't want to get in the way of it. Understand why it's.
Yeah. Randy?
Fine.
Okay, with excluding,
Yeah, I mean, so I'm recalling that we heard from one employee of business that appreciated the call out because they otherwise, they could have used something like this. Like otherwise, it was the
right, that was, I think when we,
alternatives.
so let's include it for the moment and we'll see what the House does with it. It's about to go there for further work anyway. So let's, yeah.
Can I propose something then? If you want to remove this, Senator Harrison too, removing the purpose, so we don't have two instances of movement, let's just make it one.
Let's just make it one.
Senator Harrison?
Oh, that's great.
So what I'll do is we'll have draft 1.5 of Senator Harrison's amendment with just that second instance of amendment
Great,
as being the only instance of amendment.
great, terrific. That makes it simpler and doesn't confuse everybody. Okay, and hand vote were 5-0. Is that? David? On including section. Okay, 5-0.
Okay, we have
Okay, great. We need to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll